Hi, Witness here. As you may know, Hall of the Grandmasters is one of the hardest maps in the game and can completely shut down the vast majority of builds. You know what that means? You can sell the Hall of the Grandmasters clear in hardcore for a lot of money if you got the build to do it. For a while I was selling Hall of the Grandmasters clears in hardcore, but I eventually ripped doing it. The rip came from overconfidence. After so many easy runs, I eventually walked into a situation like this between the middle of two statues and was killed pretty much in an instant. It's likely a combination of old masters hitting me at once. No single master was able to get me down that low quickly before. Had I approached from the side, I likely would have lived. But if you're interested in clearing this map, here are some things that you might want to know. The clear condition for this map is killing every Grandmaster. It's not the chest opening. For this, if you're trying to clear for someone else, when you get to the end of one wing, if there's an easy to kill master, leave that wing and that master alone and clear the others, because there might be something more dangerous on another wing that you don't want to have to deal with. The monster's remaining counter doesn't mean anything for this map. Sometimes it says 0, sometimes it gives you a random number. It's really only on killing the last master that you get the credit for the clear. Also, on a side note, you can get tier 11 maps from this tier 9 map from the chest that drops maps for clearing. It's not a huge deal at this point of the league, but this is just an FYI. Now, aside from being able to withstand high damage, here are some things you should be aware of. First of all, if your damage is chaos, this map is not for you. There are CI characters and they are immune to chaos damage. Slayer has 20% cull if you're at that life. So if you're running a low life build, it's no longer just having more than 11%. You have to have more than 20% just in case there's a Slayer there. I've noticed that elemental immune golems from the elementalist, but don't worry, they don't attack you after you kill the elementalist itself. There are two things that can stall most builds. One is the Aegis Aurora tanks with max block that can be impossible for a lot of builds, particularly ones that do lots of little hits with like Blade Vortex. Block reduction, unblockable damage, or damage over time is generally the way to handle these. This is why explosive arrow builds generally do this map, since the explosion is considered secondary damage and is unblockable and unevadable if the target is near it. Explosive arrow can also have really high dot damage from the burn. Vortex is also a decent candidate. They'll have a degen if they stand in the pool, even if they block it. You need some kind of non-chaos damage over time. Bleeds and traps can work here too. And then there's Dynas. A high energy shield, high energy regen Grandmaster that casts Firestorm and casts on damage taken Lightning Warp. The high regen is enough to withstand my explosive arrows burn damage, and it's hard to kill her that way. What you need for this is to do high burst amount of damage really quickly. That and Frostbomb can help you reduce that high regen. Now, if your only build stopper is Dynas, then there's good news. Since the reduction of the map to 4 wings from 6 during this league, you actually have less of a chance of encountering Dynas. In fact, I've only gotten her twice in the many runs that I did. And if you do get her, the map is only 1 to 2 chaos and hardcore, and I was able to sell the clear spots for 10 chaos each, so resetting the map itself is actually not a huge problem. Aside from that, make sure you're covered on bleeds. There are plenty of puncture traps that can do high damage to you if you're not aware. Also be careful next to walls and your golem. For any GMP shenanigans from certain builds, there are explosive arrow builds in there as well. Decoy Totem will work on Grandmasters to bait them out if you need that. It's a decent option to have. Now, is this worth it? Well, if you've got a build that's good for it and don't get full of yourself and actually approach it properly, it is pretty profitable. My first run in Essence Hardcore dropped me the last one standing, but I haven't seen any since. But since I was selling the spots for 10 casts each, and I could do it without wasting a portal, that means each map would give me 50 chaos. And that actually would mean you can buy the full set for 9 runs if you do it properly. And the map itself costs 1 to 2 chaos. When I was approaching this map carefully, The clear took me about 15 minutes, including the advertising, to get the spots filled. This might not be as easy to do later on in the league though, but it is considerable for next league. You also can get random things like quality gems if you get the right box at the end, but I haven't found those boxes at the end to be super rewarding. But it is a rippy map, potentially rippier than the Shaper because there's a lot of unpredictability here and there's a much higher build restriction for it. Now, as far as builds go, that's really for you to figure out. Explosive Arrow is the easiest to adopt for this map because of the high life, high burst damage, range attack, high ignite, and the explosion is unblockable and unevadable. And I have a Pathfinder guide on the forum, and my character needed no change from mapping to doing this particular map at all. I just went in straight. It also helps that Pathfinder is able to regenerate flasks automatically. So in any given situation, if I feel like I have to back off, I can do that and wait for flasks to refill. And I felt that as long as I had my flasks up, I can kill any Grandmaster. If you have a build that you're confident on this map, feel free to share that though. In any case, good luck out there.